Vous parliez justement d'affinité, après j'allais dire, du phénomène avec le nucléaire. On se rend compte qu'après, et ça j'ai lu, hein, c'est pas moi qui l'invente, après les premières explosions atomiques, donc Nagasaki, Hiroshima bien sûr, on a vu des survols, on a constaté des survols ostensibles très nombreux au-dessus des sites nucléaires, civils ou militaires. C'est vous, Christelle Seval, je vous ai entendu dire ça clairement dans une interview que vous aviez donnée. Est-ce que c'est un constat évident?
Je ne suis pas un spécialiste de la question. Jean-Jacques Velasco, qui était l'ancien ingénieur chargé du GEPAN, enfin du CEPRA, a écrit un livre justement sur le sujet parce qu'il a bien vu la corrélation qu'il y a entre...
Le GEPAN, donc je rappelle, le groupe d'études et d'information sur les phénomènes aérospatiaux non identifiés. Voilà.
Et donc il avait bien vu la corrélation qui existe entre le phénomène OVNI et le nucléaire, dans toutes ses formes. Effectivement, on peut citer par exemple la base de Malmstrom aux États-Unis, où il y avait ces fameux missiles Minuteman, et c'est étalé sur presque des centaines de kilomètres. Et il y a eu là effectivement un OVNI qui a complètement paralysé plusieurs silos. Il y a eu des enquêtes après techniques qui ont prouvé que eh bien, l'arrêt total des missiles était totalement inexpliqué.
Declassified U.S. government documents and witness testimony from former or retired U.S. military personnel confirm beyond any doubt the reality of ongoing UFO incursions at nuclear weapons sites. When I say UFO, the witnesses have described these craft as disc-shaped or cylindrical-shaped or spherical. These objects are capable of both hovering and high-velocity flight, usually completely silently. Over the past 37 years, I have personally located and interviewed more than 120 of these former or retired military personnel, all of whom report UFO incidents at one or more of the following locations: nuclear missile sites, nuclear weapons storage areas, and nuclear weapons test sites in Nevada and the Pacific during the era of atomic atmospheric testing.
Good afternoon. My name is Robert Salas. In 1967, I was a first lieutenant stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. I was a missile launch officer, and on March 24th, 1967, I was on duty at what we called Oscar Flight. It is a underground capsule hardened site, about 60 feet underground. We had security guards topside. Sometime in the evening hours on March 24th, I received a call from one of my topside guards, the flight security controller, stating that they had been observing strange lights in the sky, making odd maneuvers, and wanted to report it. I thought it was kind of a strange report, but I took it seriously. You have to understand we were protecting nuclear weapons, and the reports we generally got were very professional. At any rate, I kind of dismissed the call. He called back about 5 minutes later. This time he was screaming into the phone saying they're looking at an object, a red glowing object hovering just above our front gate. This object was about 30 feet in diameter. I went to wake my commander, Fred Mywald, who was taking a rest break, started to tell him about the phone call, and just as I told him, our missiles began going into what's called a no-go condition or unlaunchable. Essentially, they were disabled while this object was still hovering over our site, our launch control. At this point, the guard told me the object had left at high speed. Again, silent, no noise. The security guards got out to the launch facility and reported back that they were seeing this object again. They also lost radio contact. This incident terminated at that point. We reset the security alarms, but the missiles themselves were still disabled. I want to emphasize that the security people upstairs had no control authority over, they had no equipment up there, no ability to affect any kind of system shutdown on our missiles. Our squadron commander, he was white as a sheet, didn't know how to explain the event. I asked him specifically if it could have been an Air Force exercise, and he assured me that it was not an Air Force exercise. Back up a little bit. During the report to the command post, my commander, Fred Mywald, turned to me and said the same thing happened at another site. At the time, I thought he meant that evening, but it turns out the same thing had happened a week earlier at another site, and he was probably referring to the Echo flight.
Good afternoon. My name is Dwayne Arneson. I'm going to give an adjunct testimony to what Bob has already spoken about. After graduating from college with degrees in physics and math, I entered the Air Force, got a commission, and served 26 years as a communication electronics officer in positions all over the world, including Vietnam. My highest clearance held was a top secret crypto special compartment information talent keyhole. For those that know clearances, you got to be almost squeaky clean to get that. Back in 1967, I was officer in charge of the communications center at the 28th Air Division in Great Falls, Montana. I was also the crypto custodian. I was a top secret control officer for the division, and I passed out nuclear launch authenticators. In March of that particular year, I can clearly recall a message coming through my communications center which basically said what Bob has already talked about, that a UFO did in fact shut down several missile silos in Montana. Not being a missile type, I didn't know Oscar flight from Echo flight, so I couldn't relate to any of those details. But the fact was that missiles were shut down by them. Later on, in the mid-70s, about 1975, I was commander of a radar site in Maine, which was adjacent to Loring Air Force Base. Periodically, my security cop and I met with the SAC security police. And on two occasions that I can recall distinctly, they told us that UFOs were seen over the nuclear weapons storage areas at Loring Air Force Base, which was a SAC bomber base, as some of you may well know. I don't know what the details were. I don't know if any nukes were damaged or deactivated. I never saw a report on that, so I really can't say. That is history. After retiring from the Air Force, I went to work for Boeing as a computer systems analyst. Bob didn't mention this, but one of my first supervisors at Boeing was Robert Kaminsky. He has since passed away. He was the engineer selected by Boeing to go out and investigate the UFOs, the missiles that were shut down. He living close by where I lived in Washington State. We got together frequently on Saturday to discuss UFOs and other topics. And he says, Arnie, those things were perfectly clean, and they did not go down by themselves. He then went on to say that halfway through the investigation, the Air Force sent Boeing a message which said, stop the investigation and do not, repeat, do not send us a report. He told me that personally on 2 or 3 different occasions, and no hesitation at all. In conclusion, I've studied UFOs for over 60 years, believe it or not, and I am convinced that somebody out there is trying to send us a message. If I knew who they were, I probably would not be here. Thanks for your time.